Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the NBA front office show. No, it's not Friday, but we still decided to go live. Keith, does this necessitate a
No.
Friday yell? Just Fridays, right?
Yeah, just Fridays. Because if we do it today, it just loses its specialness on Fridays. So we're gonna save that for Friday.
Yeah, you don't get the alliteration of front office Friday
No,
on front office. What day is it? Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I don't. At
Yeah,
this point, I don't know. That's the problem. At this
that's
point,
all right. I can understand your confusion because you're confused because there's this thing after the 82 regular season games, Trevor. There's still more games to play,
Yeah.
including the playoffs. I know the Lakers haven't been there in many, many, many years, and you're confused by this whole
it's been
thing.
1 year
of basketball still going on, but they're back. Welcome back to the playoffs, Los Angeles Lakers.
Welcome back. They punched their ticket with force, with determination last night, with domination against the Wolves. No, we saw none of those things. They fell into the end zone essentially to wind up.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was. I guess let's just start there because we're going to break down the different playoff matchups today. If you're joining us live over on the YouTube channel, welcome in, of course. But we're going to break down the different playoff matchups. The Lakers beat the Wolves last night to secure the 7th seed in the Western Conference, which means they'll take on the Memphis Grizzlies. Keith, that was one of the most ridiculous basketball games I've seen. It was not pretty. It was not pretty. Let's say that. The score for the fourth quarter was 19-12, and 3 of those 12 points for the Wolves came on 3 free throws with 0.1 seconds left because, of course, Anthony Davis fouled Mike Conley while they were up 3 on a 3-point shot. I think you texted me, congrats on getting back into the playoffs. And I just said, what a stupid game.
It was something like that. Yeah, at like 1 something in the morning, my
Yes.
time, when I was just like, all I wanted to do was go to bed. And it was like, nope, this is going to keep going. Because, yeah, it was one of those ones where if you didn't know better, you'd think both of those teams absolutely were full of fear for the Memphis Grizzlies. And like, we don't want to play them. Like, we can't just openly tank this game, but like, it's that. So yeah, it's just weird, man. It was just not a well played game at all. Now you win games like that in the playoffs and you kind of say, hey, we took it, right? Take what you can get in the postseason. So yeah, I think it was in the end, any postseason win is a good win. So you take it and you go, and it doesn't really matter how you win them; they all count the same. Especially in the playoffs. So I don't know that if I'm the Grizzlies, that like I'm like, oh man, like what are we gonna do with either one of these teams watching that game? I think if anything, they're probably the ones who come out of there feeling a lot more confident than anybody else does. But LeBron made all the plays down the stretch that you needed him to make. That kick out pass to Dennis Schroeder. We both know we've been doing this long enough and watching long enough to remember when he would have got yelled at for that. Right, because the Stars have to shoot that last shot and all that other ridiculous thing over making the right play. But yeah, they made enough plays, and now we're obviously into the point of the playoffs where everybody has decided the schedule makers are. I think going us off the Twitter discourse, the Lakers play I think on Sunday and then don't play again until sometime in May, and then Game 3 is in like October, and plenty of rest time. When in reality, they don't really have all that much more time off than about 3 other series. Like it's just that's how it goes in the playoffs. I don't know that I buy. This seems like everybody's just going so crazy.
It's 1 extra day essentially because in the playoffs you don't play back to back, but there's typically 1 day between games unless you're traveling. Then it's 2. The Lakers get 3 games or 2 days, I guess, between their first game and their second game, and then between game 2 and 3, which is travel also. You get 2 days there. So, I mean, they'll take it. I like if it's an extra day, anything they can get for rest, clearly they need it. So,
yeah. And there's always the one series that like gets put in that's like go, right? Where it's like they're going to play, take a day, play, take a day. But, it's also, too, of all the series in the West. Well, I guess we don't know with Denver yet because they could still be playing New Orleans. But that's actual travel, right? That's the absurdity of somehow Memphis being a Western Conference team. But it's, Clippers, I've seen the stuff about how Clippers Suns could already be over before Memphis Lakers tips off game 3. of their series. Like, that's if there was a sweep, and we'll obviously get into all our thoughts on those. But yeah, I mean, I look at, I was just plugging all the, now that the full schedules are out. I mean, Boston has 2 days off between games 1 and 2, and then 2 more days between games 2 and 3. The Bucks have the same kind of setup, so it's just how the playoffs go. People just like to complain.
People are just looking for stuff, and anytime there's anything that has to do with Lakers, there's going to be controversy, and
Sure.
because they're just very polarizing as a team. It's the way it goes. Before we get into the actual matchups, real quick, were you surprised that both of us picked the Heat and the Hawks won? And I thought they looked like the better. I thought their shot making was fantastic, but they looked like the better team. I didn't come out of that game going, "Ooh, Atlanta was lucky to win that game." They looked like the better squad. Did that surprise you?
Not, I guess a little bit the way they did it, just because I mean they completely overpowered them, inside. Like they just dominated. But if you've watched the Heat all year, the Heat just they play Bam Adebayo. He's the only big that they really have that's a viable big man there, because Caleb Martin's not really a 4, Jimmy Butler's not really a 4, Kevin Love wasn't giving him enough to worth having him on the floor. So yeah, that part, I guess, just the Hawks just I want to say it was 22-6 on the offensive glass that they beat them up by, and it was like same in I think second chance points too were also something like 22-6. I mean, and in a game that was ultimately a pretty close game, that was it. So yeah, it was definitely a surprise. But we, like you said, we both picked the Heat, but it was one of those ones where I thought, yeah, there's a path for the Hawks to win this. I didn't think they would, but hey, good for them. Nothing I saw out of them exactly worries me for the Celtics chances against them, but it's we'll see where it goes.
Now, last thing here before we actually get into the matchups, I've seen a lot of people saying that they don't like that the way the play-in is situated. You now have the 2 seed, who is the Grizzlies and the Celtics in each conference respectively, know who their opponent is, whereas the 1 seed has to wait all the way until Friday to know who it is that they're playing, and that they don't like that. They feel like that is unfair. I go the other way. I go, well, the 1 seed gets to play a team that only has 1 day of rest because they have to play on Friday. So I think it's actually a bigger advantage to the 1 seed. Like if I got to pick between knowing my opponent a few days in advance or my opponent having played just 2 days prior, particularly when there's probably going to be a big talent gap between the 1 and the 8, I would rather go with the opponent that doesn't have the rest. But give me your thoughts, because I have seen a lot of people making the argument that they don't like that the 1 seed has to wait to find out who they're playing.
Yeah, and it's definitely a weird quirk of the way this thing is established. I'm with you. I think not only does the 1 seed get a team that had literally 1 day of rest and 1 day to prepare, but also they are getting, in theory, the worst team in the field. Right, because it should be the worst team that makes it through. So I think that's where they kind of should be. So I think we're in a spot with that part of it. How you solve this, in my opinion, is let the 1 seed declare before the play-in tournament who they want. We want the winner of 7-8 because we want to know who it is, or we'll take whoever the ultimate team that gets in as the 8 seed is. Let them pick. Give them that little extra, kind of bonus and carrot as the top seed in the conference. I have no problem with that at all. I don't think that's going to be how it goes or ever goes, because I think the NBA kind of likes it this way. And then you do run into if a team was like, man, I want that. But yeah, there's no truly perfect system. But this is pretty close, because those games, even though Lakers Wolves wasn't very good and Hawks was kind of messy, they were still exciting. I expect tonight's are going to be exciting with that too. So I'm all in on the play-in tournament. Whereas I'm trying to rebrand it the Pit. Like, let's just call it the Pit. So then it's like, when the teams get out of it, like they climbed out of the pit and into the playoffs. Or, if they had an unexpectedly bad season, man, they fell into the pit. And then you can riff like the great, wonderful TV show Parks and Rec of, I fell into the pit. Yeah.
Yeah.
See? And I got some singing in.
That's funny. You said that. I went Mortal Kombat.
And
I was thinking about how you could knock the guy into the pit and all that stuff. But Parks and Rec is certainly a more family-friendly reference there. So.
Maybe.
Well, most most of the time. But in any event, all right, let's get into some of these
let's
matchups
do
here.
it.
We'll start in the East. Let's start with your team. Let's go Celtics against, now they know they're taking on the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks, obviously, new coach installed with Quinn Snyder. They look good on the offensive glass. That's not going to be easy doing that against Boston with their front line. I know the Celtics were resting some guys down the stretch and everything. Jaylen Brown dealing with stitches, I believe it was, in his hand. What's going on there?
Yeah, it sounds like he's going to be okay and ready to go. They haven't said anything to the contrary with that. Marcus Smart missed the last few games. He had like a neck muscle sprain thing going on, but it sounds like he'll also be back. Rob Williams is full go as he has been, in several weeks here. So they're coming in as healthy as they've been. Atlanta's coming in fully healthy too. So at least on that front, we've got two teams coming in, ready to go.
I mean, I think this is quite a mismatch here in this series. I think that the Celtics defense has got what it takes in order to not totally shut down Trae Young, but at least stifle him enough to make life tough on him. DeJounte Murray can do some things for them, but a lot of the stuff that he's going to do is more getting into the paint. And then are you able to make him shoot over, say, Robert Williams or even help side defenders coming in? John Collins maybe can do a little bit of damage just with his ability to space the floor if they do wind up going small for certain stretches. But I look at this and see a lot of ways that the Celtics can win this series and not a lot of ways that the Hawks can.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I think the Hawks need Trae Young to be incredible to be into this. They need to dominate the glass. I don't know how many people know this. Boston was the number one defensive rebounding team in the league this season. So and that probably seems a little kind of contrary to what I think most folks would think, because they primarily most of the year started Al Horford, who, for all the things he's great at, he's not a great rebounder necessarily. But Tatum's pretty good. Brown's pretty good. These guys are all, really, really good. So I think we're in a, spot where it is, with these guys, it is, it's just going to be really hard on the Hawks. They don't play enough defense. That's the single biggest thing. I went back, I rewatched the two meaningful games because they played on Sunday, but it was all backups for the most part. So I watched their two games where they played earlier in the year, and Boston had no problem getting scores against them, getting really whatever they wanted shot wise. So yeah, I'm with the Celtics, and I'm with the Celtics fairly easily in this one. And that's not me being the Celtics guy here. I just think they're just that much better of a team.
No, yeah. It's not like the Celtics are the 7 seed and the Hawks are the 2 when you're picking this. That's not the scenario we're in here. No. What are you saying? Celtics in, what's your prediction?
So this is extremely, extremely rare for me. I'm going Celtics in 4. I almost never pick a sweep. I usually give a team a chance to win at home. I just don't see how the Hawks play enough defense to win a game. They're going to have a shootout game where they beat Boston, and Boston is sloppy and can't make some shots. So I'm going Celtics in 4.
I'm going to go gentleman's sweep, and I'll say that it's Celtics in 5. I'll say that the Hawks take game 3. That's usually the game that the team that's down picks up that game. That tends to be the one when they first get back in front of their home crowd. So I'll say it's Celtics in 5. Let's jump over to 76ers against the Nets. Again, quite a mismatch. The Nets, for a team that looked like they were just calling it quits on the season, essentially, hey, we're going to restructure everything, and Kevin Durant, see you later, and Kyrie, see you later. They actually held in there pretty well. Mikal Bridges has been very, very good. And they've actually proven themselves to be not a difficult team to deal with. That said, I'm expecting the 76ers to get through this one with a pretty good amount of confidence. I think they are simply the more talented team, as scrappy as the Nets can be. I don't think they've got a shot here to take down the 76ers.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think I know I'm in agreement with you. Generally, the lower seeded team, game 3 at home, they get that bump, that home crowd lift gets them going. I think the Nets' best chance is maybe to win game 1, just if they catch the Sixers off guard, right? And they're going to have to speed the game up. You have to make them play fast. If you're going to have any chance with this, you're going to have to – I hate to make it all about this, but you're gonna have to make your shots if you're Brooklyn. You're gonna have to turn this into a little bit of a high scoring game, and I just don't think Philly's gonna get baited into it. They Harden, Embiid, the rest of their guys, they're gonna play at the pace they want. They don't have a prayer of guarding Embiid. I love Nick Claxton, and I think he's really become a pretty good team defender. But one-on-one, he just, Embiid's just going to mash him into the goal when he wants to. And then the rest of the time, he's just going to turn and face from the nail and do whatever he wants to do there. They're just going to really struggle to defend. I think the Nets will get a game off the Sixers, because I think the Sixers will be, they're up 2-0 and had a pretty easy time of it. I think they'll kind of coast in, and then they'll be like, all right, let's get serious and get rid of these guys, especially if it starts looking like Boston is going to roll through. They're not going to want to still be playing while the Celtics are already resting up for their second round matchup. So I'm picking in that one. I'm picking Sixers in 5. I could maybe see Nets getting 1, but getting 2 maybe at best. But if they're going to do that, they almost have to get game 1.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. I'm going to also say Sixers in 5 in that one. I think that's, unfortunately, I would like to say we're going to get this close, crazy series. I just don't think it's going to happen there.
Yeah, so.
Thank you, Jorge, for the super chat. Favorite YouTube duo. Been following Trevor a couple of years now. Started following Keith. That's his first appearance on Locked On Lakers, hosted by Anthony. Keith, Hawks in 6. LOL, Trevor, go Lakers. I think there's maybe some bias coming in there, but we certainly appreciate the super chat. I can't pick.
Jorge, if it's Hawks in 6, I will match your $20 super chat and donate to the charity of your choice. So you let me know what that is, and I will absolutely match your super chat.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be the Keep Austin Reeves Fund right there. That's going to be the way that's
I will not match that charity. As much as they would like you to believe it, the Lakers are not a nonprofit organization.
No, they are not. They are not. All right.
Want to do the other East one?
Let me get to that. Oh, you know what, though? I forgot to mention, Keith, with the 76ers and Nets series, what's Spencer Dinwiddie's status? Is he going to be recovered from what Kyle Kuzma did to him today?
Gosh. Or yeah, we keep it fan and family friendly here on the show. But yeah, man, that was those were some comments. What a stupid feud,
right?
It's amusing because it's like, all right, well, this filled an afternoon of fun, but it really is like, no one cares about either one of you all that much.
You know, I think though some of it gets into it's almost gotten to the point of like WWE wrestlers like cutting promos on each other.
Yeah.
Like they know if you say something that's going to get retweeted, it's going to get put out there on social media. Like that's kind of how you prepare for your post-playing days career. Is make enough 100%. Noise that you're going to be going on shows and you're going to and all that kind of stuff, which is smart.
To that point, Paul Pierce and Richard Jefferson are arguing about like the 2002 playoffs, back and forth, and it's like, please, Grandpa, tell me about that time in 2002 when you guys met each other. Like, and I love Paul Pierce, but it's like, all right, what are you doing? Like, why are we just going back and forth about this nonsense? So, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It was fun. It was a fun way to spend an afternoon with those two guys going at each other.
Somebody said, is that gray hair growing on Trevor's head from the game last night? Yes, I had to go get a haircut today simply to shed some of the gray that just appeared after that game. Because my goodness,
I'm starting to look at the sides. I'm starting to look like Doctor Strange.
Oh, look at that
Marvel minute. Yeah,
grow out the goatee and. Yeah, you start wearing a cape around and all that.
I'm roughly 3 weeks from having a 13-year-old in the house, so that's who's putting them there. So that's for sure.
The Cavs and the Knicks. This could actually be a decently close series. Now, Julius Randle, reports from practice today is that he's still not taking contact or anything like that. Obviously dealing with the ankle issue. Hopefully he's good to go and can at least be 85, 90% by game that we'll see. That's going to be something to monitor. I've got the Cavs winning this, but the Knicks, if they revert to that form they were in, what was that, about a month ago when they went on like an 8 or 9 game winning streak, they were really, really good during that stretch. If they can somehow channel that version of their team, they could create some problems for the Knicks for sure. I'm sorry, the Knicks could create some problems for the Cavs.
Yeah, I think you touched on it right off the jump, though. They got to have Julius Randle, right? Because if Julius Randle is not able to play and be Julius Randle, I don't know how they're going to score enough. I think that's going to be their problem. It's because then it really becomes Jalen Brunson he's going to have to average like 35 a game just to keep him in games. And I just don't know, right? The Cavs they were the number one defense in the league in the regular season, and it was very well earned. It was funny to see, after all those kind of years of Utah being a pretty good defense on with Rudy Gobert standing back there and Donovan Mitchell kind of looking like a traffic cone at times. He's fully bought in with this team, and now all of a sudden they're great. On the flip side, the Cavs don't always score at the greatest clip in the world either. Now, they're a pretty good offensive team. They were one of only 3 teams to finish in the top 10 in both offensive and defensive rating, along with the Celtics and the 76ers. So there's moments when the Cavs can go through it. I just think the Cavs have more ways they can get points, where I think the Knicks without Randall, it just becomes a slog. But they're going to be tough. They're not going to go down without a fight. Tibbs is going to have them ready to go. I think this has the potential to be, not the potential. This will be the best series in the East, because I think this is the only one that's going to be competitive, all the way through. I think the other 3 are probably going to be mostly walkovers, but I think that this one should be pretty good.
Yeah, indeed it should. And I'll tell you I think this is ultimately a problem for the Knicks, even if you get Julius Randle. One of the challenges that he's had over the course of his career has been scoring over guys who have really long arms, right? Because Randall doesn't. He's everybody made fun of him in the draft. I remember way back when, for having T-Rex arms, right? That makes it that much more challenging for him to score over a guy that's kind of like Evan Mobley and kind of like Jarrett Allen. That's going to be very difficult for Randall to be at his very best in this series. And so I think ultimately I've got this going 6 and the Cavs taking it. But I do agree, this is going to be probably the most entertaining series in the East in the first round.
For everybody watching now live and anybody listening later, we did not share picks ahead of time with each other, but I'm in the same boat. I picked Cavs in 6. I generally don't like a team to close out a series on the road unless it's like an overwhelming favorite in 4. But I just think the Cavs are going to be tough, and I think. What I don't want this to turn into is a referendum on the Knicks were stupid for not giving up everything for Donovan Mitchell, right? It's because the Knicks they're building something, right? And they're starting to keep things moving into a pretty good place. So I think we're in a good spot with the Knicks. I just don't want to get into a spot where that's becomes the overwhelming storyline of like they should have traded everything for Mitchell and then they could have Mitchell and Brunson. They would have Mitchell, Brunson, and not a whole heck of a lot else. And that's where it would have been a little bit of a challenge with that if had they gone that direction. But this is going to be a fun series. I think super competitive, where I think where we're going to see a bunch of really good games, probably a little lower scoring than what we've been seeing around the league this year. But that's fine. That'll be a lot of fun. Butt Kicker 900, I kind of like that name. Says RJ Barrett, the key to the series. Yeah, I think in a lot of ways he is. If RJ Barrett plays really well, the Knicks' chances of pulling off the upset here go way, way up. And 4 or 5 is not a huge upset, but I think there's a pretty decent gap there between these 2 teams. But yeah, if RJ Barrett plays great, then they're definitely right in the mix for sure.
All right, let's jump over to the West. We'll start with the 2-7 there, Grizzlies and the Lakers. I've already spent a lot of time thinking about this matchup. This is a difficult one with Luke Kennard in the starting lineup, Steven Adams out for, we believe, the season here. The Grizzlies have a lot of different ways that they can beat you, even if you try to slow down Ja. They've got plenty of shooters to kick out to. Conversely, the Lakers have a lot of ways to score on the Grizzlies as well. I don't know, man. This is going to be, I think this is going to be a very difficult series. The Grizzlies are the slight favorite in this one. And man, like the adjustments that each team makes and the adjustments to the adjustments are ultimately going to determine, I think, who wins this one. I don't think you can look at this and just say, oh, this team's clearly more talented than the other team. It is very, very close.
Yeah, it is. I think the key for the Lakers is going to be who can they put on Ja Morant to just slow him down, because I feel pretty confident, especially after last year's playoffs, it's not D'Angelo Russell. I don't know that it's Dennis Schroeder, and I don't know where you're going next, right? It's you may have to use Austin Reeves. It may be back to the old school of, hey, we're just going to build a wall, and we may see some guys get in there where it's, hey, your job now, Mo Bamba, is drop him a couple times, right? Nothing dirty, but just hit him and put him on the ground a couple times, make him
The
earn it.
Tony Parker protocol.
Yeah, kind of right, because you almost have to in a way, because I don't know how they're going to contain him,
Yeah.
and it's not so much about containing him as a scorer. I'm more worried about he gets into the defense, gets you in rotations, and he's kicking out to Kennard and Bane, and all of a sudden they're raining down threes from the outside. So I think that's the key that way. On the other end of the floor, it becomes, can the Lakers string baskets together enough to really make Memphis have to work defensively? Because if you allow them to load to the ball with these slow actions where it's funny, it's we mentioned this, I think, going into the play-in tournament, the pit
That's right.
The Lakers' pace stats are all weird because they played super fast most of the year when they had Russ, and they've really kind of almost gone the other way of being like a slowdown team. And that doesn't work great against Memphis, because you don't want Jaren Jackson Jr. to be able to kind of load to the ball in a help position. So you're going to need AD to really keep him honest the whole way. I think what you're going to see is they're probably going to put Tillman on AD, at least the open games. Not that that's a great matchup by any means for Memphis, but that allows Jackson to stay in that roaming, helping role, where he'll do that off of Vanderbilt, obviously, and you'll live with the other matchups as best you can. So yeah, it's just going to be, can they get, can they string together points enough to keep this going? I think this one might be a little bit more of a grind than people are thinking it will be, and that kind of tells me that's probably good for the Lakers. I think if you're in these games that are like last night, where it's like 195 kind of final type things, I think that's better for Los Angeles.
Yeah, Lakers, this version, I really look at the Lakers as two different teams. You've got the post-trade deadline team, and you've got the pre-trade deadline team. Post-trade deadline, the Lakers are 9th in the NBA in pace. They were floating between first and second in pace prior to that for the entire season. So they have definitely slowed things down quite a bit. A lot of question marks about who defends. A lot of people saying Jared Vanderbilt is going to have to spend some minutes on Ja, maybe even primarily. And if not, and that's the problem. But who else do you put on him?
Yeah, I just,
it's not D'Lo. So
I mean, I'm a massive Jared Vanderbilt guy. I love him. He's not good on quick guards.
That's
like
right.
That, you're going too far with that. Then, like, you could put him on quicker forwards, because he could kind of muscle up into them. Like, I think you're gonna spread them out, and then it becomes, he's not gonna defend John space. So I think you're probably gonna run with Schroeder some. You probably maybe throw a little bit of size on him and when he's in the game, maybe get Beasley on him just for a different look. I know he's not a very good defender. No. I think Reeves might get some minutes on Ja as well, but I think for the most part, you build the wall there, right? Or maybe you go into a different kind of defense, right? Remember where Darvin Ham came from with Milwaukee. Heavy drop coverage. Maybe you just kind of play it like that and say, hey, if we go down with Ja hitting a whole bunch of pull-up jump shots, we'll tip our cap and we'll move on to the offseason. But we're not. You just can't let him get into your defense and get you kind of in the blender, because then you end up in a really rough spot.
Lakers fans have PTSD over drop coverage on Ja because of what he did last time they played, when he went for like 30 points in the third quarter against drop coverage.
Sure.
But he just hit everything on those floaters. Just all of them were dropping. So maybe you have to just play the numbers game and hope that those don't. But I'm going to put it out there. I've been saying Lakers in 6. I'm going to be optimistic that somehow, some way they find their way through. It's also possible the Lakers are out of gas. These 4 days off will help a lot, but they looked exhausted in the last 4 or 5 games. So that's something to also keep an eye on.
Yeah, obviously LeBron's not right. Like you could just see it at times. He just doesn't have that explosion the way he usually does. It was it's weird to watch him play almost kind of ground bound, but he's just so good and so smart that he can, and it's not a huge issue. So here's my one worry with the Lakers. You can't fall in love with just shooting jump shots, because they take, sometimes in these games, they take some of the worst stretches where it's like, it's not even like good 3-pointers. It's not great 3-pointers. It's long 2s. It's just weird stuff. Like Hachimura loves to step in over the line to take a 19-footer instead of staying behind the line and shooting a 3. And it's like the most maddening thing in the world, because then he makes it. It's like, you would have made it from 2 feet further back. Just stay. So just don't settle for that. Get downhill, attack the rim. Make Jackson work. Get
Yeah.
AD into him. Try to get him in foul trouble. Get
Yep.
him off the floor. Because then Memphis, now you've got them. The bench matchups are going to be really interesting here, I
Yeah,
think.
two of the better backup point guards I think in the league, Dennis
Oh,
Schroeder
100%.
and
Yeah.
Tyus Jones.
Tyus Jones. Yep. And watch out for Santi Aldama is pretty good
Mm-hmm.
for Memphis. There's going to be a game in this series where Lakers fans are going to be like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Because he's going to have like 10 points in the second quarter. And everybody's going to be like, what is going on right now? Because, the Lakers backup bigs are just kind of, right. They're just not great. So I think I'm going to go with Lakers in 7. And generally, I would pick, if I'm going to pick the lower seeded team, I'm going to pick them to win in 6 because I'll pick them to win at home.
Yeah.
But I don't think LeBron, AD, that veteran crew is going to be at all bothered by going on the road for a game 7. So I'm going to pick Lakers in 7. I just think I won't be surprised if it goes the other way. I also, to your point, I know we're picking on everybody saying like, oh, look at the favor the NBA did, with the Lakers, schedule here. It does help them that they're not playing, every other day at the beginning. I think this might be one where if you're the Lakers, if you get up like 3-1, you got to end it because you can't. The further this goes, the better it is for Memphis because then you are playing every other day with travel and the younger roster will benefit.
Absolutely. All right. So the Kings finally back into the playoffs, and the reward is the defending champion Golden State Warriors in the first round. I have not seen the odds on this. Are the Kings the favorite in this?
No, I don't think. Everywhere I had seen it was the Warriors.
I figured that was going to be the case. The 6 seed Warriors. Can Sacramento defend well enough? Because that's been they've been great scoring the basketball, and they run some similar stuff to what the Warriors run. They've got Mike Brown there, so that makes sense. I think I trust the Warriors defense to get stops more than the Kings defense, and I think that's going to matter a lot in this series.
Yeah, I'm going to lean towards the history here, right? We just know the Warriors will get it done. I think that game 1 is going to be an all-time crowd on Saturday night, right? They are going to be buzzing and ready to go. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, holy crap, the Kings won by 30 or something, just because they're going to be so bonkers in that arena. I just think there's no better guy to silence a crowd than Stephen Curry, right? You know, he is absolutely relishing. I'm going to roll in there. I'm going to drop 40 on these guys and I'm going to silence them and send them home sad. Right. So it's a really thing where I don't, much like I said, I don't want the whole thing to turn into the Knicks should have got Mitchell. I do not want this to turn into stupid Kings. Like, it's not that everything is gravy, right? Because you don't want to think that way when you're the 3rd seed. Like, you want to keep this moving and keep moving. But in some ways, everything is gravy. Like, you did it. You got back to the playoffs. You're established, I think, now for most is you're a pretty good team. Picking the Warriors, and I'm picking the Warriors in 6 because again, I think they'll get it done, they'll get home, and they'll get that win. But I think this is going to be a really, really fun series because I want to say it was the Kings only had something like 2 or 3 national TV games this year too, and I think two of them were at like 10:30 at night on the East Coast. So I think this is going to be fun for some teams to see these guys and say, wow, all right, these guys are a lot of fun. So, fun series, fun game. I just trust the Warriors, more in the end, just because of the history.
I'm also picking Warriors in 6 with my only hesitation being that means they have to win on the road. I mean, they have to win on the road no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. In order
to get one
to take the series. But I think they'll get one. And I'm going to pick the Warriors again. And look, the Kings, they've had a great season, and this is a little bit of tough luck in terms of who you're matching up with. But a lot of the matchups in the West are very, very, very tough. There's been a ton of parity all season long. So no matter what, they were going to be in for a tough matchup in the first round. And I don't have them as the favorite here. And I think the Warriors do ultimately get this done and send the Kings home in the first round. All right. This may be the most intriguing series, period. Suns versus Clippers. There was some talk about the Clippers maybe trying to avoid the Suns. Didn't happen. They're going to play head-to-head. This is such an interesting matchup, and I know people are saying you don't want the Suns because they've got Kevin Durant now. I think this is going to be a lot closer than people are expecting it to be. A lot of people see this as the Suns are just going to roll past the Clippers. I think this is going to be a grinded-out battle between these two teams. And this is what, and you can tell me if you think differently. I look at this as you've got Ayton and Zubats, who, look, Ayton is certainly the better player, but Zubats can make him work. Kawhi and Durant are going to go after each other. You've got Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul. I would rather have Chris Paul as far as managing a playoff game, but Russ can do some things as well, certainly. And then it comes down to, because I don't think Phoenix has a lot of depth, it's going to come down to Devin Booker. Can he outduel the other guys on the Clippers? You've got your Norman Powells of the world, and can Nicholas Batum come in and knock down some shots here and there? And some of their other guys, man, can do some things. So that's going to be the big question. What version of Devin Booker do you get in this series? And I think that's going to go a long way towards determining the outcome here.
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on. I've been kind of thinking of it as the Suns stars against the Clippers depth, right? The Clippers have, if you just lined up both rosters, you'd probably pick a bunch of Suns guys, probably Kawhi right in near the top. Then you're probably picking, it's probably KD, then Kawhi. Then you're probably picking Booker, Chris Paul, maybe even Ayton. Then it's probably a whole bunch of Clippers in a row before you pick another Sun.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be, do the Suns have it? I've seen Cyrex says front office Wednesday today. Special.
We decided to
front office Wednesday. It's a lot of people are being like, man, KD's barely played any games with the Suns. I just don't think it matters. I think they're fine, right? And they look great, when he has played. So I'm really not worried about him there at all with that team. So I think that's fine. If the Clippers had Paul George healthy for this series, I'd really be saying this is a complete toss-up.
Yes.
Like, look, I think the Suns are going to win, but maybe I'm just dumb with the Clippers at this point because I picked them to go to the finals in the preseason. I no longer feel that way. I don't think that's going to be how it plays out any longer. But I just can't quit them, right? I just feel like you look at it, it's like there's just so much talent on that roster. But yeah, I think I'm picking Suns in 7 just because I'm an idiot that can't quit the Clippers yet. Like that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what's like Paul George, the last we saw him, he was limping towards the arena with a big brace on his knee.
Yeah, and I think what was the update last week? He just started exercising. Didn't even put it as like workouts. There's been some buzz that maybe he could return like a week into this series.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'm treating it like he's out. And even that, I still think it'll probably go 7. But yeah, we'll see.
I think the Clippers are going to play coy with it and try to, hint that maybe he could come back, even if they know that he's not.
That before.
They have done that before.
Yeah.
But without Paul George, I'm going to also go Suns. I'm going to say Suns. Well, if they go in 7, then they can exercise the demons of last season, of their infamous Game 7. I'm going to say Suns in 6, though, and we'll get it done. But man, I think this is going to be I think this is going to be much closer game to game. And Kevin Durant's ability to score on just about anybody is going to matter late in games. So that's what I think is going to happen here. But man, this is going to be a very close one. I think this is going to be a battle all the way through. And to me, this is the most going to be, I think, probably the closest series of the first round. Christopher says, if the Clippers were at full strength, would that be a more interesting series than Cavs Knicks? Good job with the front office show. I think I might have this as a more interesting series anyway.
Yeah, it's right there. Those are the two best. Like somebody said, you shall not sleep on Jock Landale. Yeah, Jock Landale's not, he's good, but he's been replaced in the rotation by Bismack Biyombo again. Yep. So I'm not even sure. So I saw a bunch of stuff saying like, you really think KD's gonna, let this go 7? KD's there, he doesn't lose it like that. Well, KD got swept last year, so let's be fair to this. And this Suns team is far better than that Nets team was. The Clippers team's not as good as that Celtics team was. But I mean, if I had anybody that I would get to say, hey, go guard Kevin Durant for the next 40 minutes, it's Kawhi, right? Yep. And back to backs. This one's a little weird. They are playing basically every other day to start off this series. So I think we're in a spot where, it'll probably be, Kawhi kind of doing his thing, and he'll be out there just making life tough on KD. He's not going to stop him by any means. But yeah, I mean that's a great question. I think that one is it's definitely right up there with most interesting. Just to refresh everybody, in case you didn't catch yesterday's show, in tonight's playing games, we both picked the Pelicans to beat the Thunder. We differed in the East, and I think that was mostly just to be different.
Just to be different.
I picked the Raptors, you picked the Bulls. I'm going to say this about the East because I don't. We'll see if we get to it on Friday or not, or Saturday or whatever we do to preview Bucks versus whoever. If it's Bucks versus Heat, I'm picking Bucks in 5. If it's Bucks versus Raptors or Bulls, I'm picking Bucks in 4. Yeah, I'll give the Heat the respect of winning 1, but the Bucks they're just going to destroy those guys.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's going to be close. And then Nuggets over Wolves, Pelicans, or Thunder. Probably Nuggets in 5 is how I'm feeling about that. I think I think we're going to start to see Denver kind of roll a little bit here going into this first round, and then it'll pick up for real for them against either the Suns or the Clippers in the second round.
Yep, I agree. I think that the 1-8 matchups, not a surprise. This is nothing out of the ordinary. I don't think they're going to be all that compelling. I think the 1 seed is going to roll in both of them, Denver and Milwaukee. So that's what I'm expecting.
Fun games tonight, though. Well, Raptors Bulls, I'll be honest, I'm not super duper interested in. It's just kind of But the Pelicans Thunder, I'm very interested in that game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Just shout out to your former Lakers guy. Did you see some of the clutch stats on Brandon Ingram?
He's been incredible. He had 42 points last game. Like, he's been fantastic.
Yeah, and he's coming up huge in the clutch. So that's going to be a fun game tonight. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with that one. And then whoever wins, I mean, they've got a chance to beat the Wolves. I don't think the Wolves are unbeatable. But Anthony Edwards that's probably the worst game he's going to play in the next month. So I don't know that I like anybody going against him in the next one now. But yeah, there it is, man. We did it. We got through all the playoff series.
We did indeed. I want to thank everybody who joined us live. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the NBA Front Office Show here on the YouTube channel. And then podcast listeners, make sure you're following us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is you listen to podcasts. In fact, do both things. Follow the podcast feed and then subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. We certainly would appreciate
and leave some ratings and reviews over on the podcast feeds. We've been getting more of them, but we'd love to get even more. Those really do help because it helps people find the show. And as we say, don't keep it the secret, right? Tell people, let people know. Scream from the rooftops. Cyrex chiming in. Front Office Wednesday, best kept secret.
Let's go.
No more secret. Let's go. But Front Office Wednesday, this was fun. Don't end, just keep talking. Unfortunately, we both have dad duties to take care of here. Do things on that side of the world. So, but we appreciate you all so much. Thank you guys. And we will be live on Friday for Front Office Friday.
Yep. Let's go. Till then, everybody. See ya and stay safe.